A couple of weeks ago in the before times, before the advent of ChatGPT, I released a horribly timed video outlining questions that I thought no AI could answer. At first, I thought this was the biggest mistake I had made since... But then I realized that by putting up that video, it was like putting a stake in the ground. I had no idea what was about to be released and how the world would be different after OpenAI saviors had delivered unto us ChatGPT. So let's go through this again. I'm going to put both ChatGPT and the chat option from you.com to the test with these questions to see how well they do. And to be clear, you can tell by the original posting date of the previous video that I'm not cherry picking or lemon picking here. These questions all predate ChatGPT. I'm going to have 3 categories of outcome. Did they get the answer immediately right? Did they get it right after 1 hint? Or did they get it eventually right after I gave them some generous hints? More than 1. Check out the previous video, link in the description if you want to see why the questions are hard. I'm not going to go through it here, but it might be obvious based on some of the crazy answers we get as we go through. Okay, so let's see what happens. First off, a current events question. What is the capital of the state where the US president was born? The answer here is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, since Joe Biden was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. In both cases, ChatGPT and you.com don't know whom we're talking about. If we tell them who the president is, though, it gets them right. Okay, so let's put the leaderboard up. So far, close but not perfect for both. On this next question, Mary can't eat Cheerios or a McFlurry because she lacks what protein? ChatGPT came really close to answering the question several times, recognizing that the McFlurry is a dairy product, correctly noting that an enzyme is a protein, even saying that they're necessary for life, but never naming lactase as the enzyme that breaks down lactose. You.com basically has the same problem, but isn't quite as dense. They both get it right if you reformulate the question directly. What protein does one need to digest dairy products? But that's not the kind of question we're trying to answer, is it? So, 1 point each after lots of hints. Question 3, what is the capital of the region annexed by the Newlands Resolution? You.com gets this right off the bat, but ChatGPT needs a hint. In any event, this is definitely an improvement over GPT-3. Question 4, Franco Harris caught it in 1972, who threw it? This is Terry Bradshaw. Both of them nail it, although they're a little verbose for my taste. So first clear victory for both of these approaches. An 1842 story about a St. Petersburg clerk who loses his most valuable possession shares his name with what John Hyatt song that instructs the listener to take off that silly thing? The answer here, of course, is the overcoat. ChatGPT nails the Gogol half of the question immediately, while you.com gets neither. ChatGPT is just totally wrong about what album we're talking about, though, and refuses to be corrected. So half credit for it, I guess, but it was on the very first clue. Question 6. What do the cigarette brand from The Simpsons, which has a mascot named Menthol Moose, the pen name of the screenwriter for the film Juno, and the future president who killed Charles Dickinson in an 1806 duel, have in common? These are all towns in Wyoming. ChatGPT can spot the link with enough hints, but you.com doesn't recognize that there's also a Jackson in Wyoming. So ChatGPT gets credit with some hints. You.com doesn't get anything. Question 7a, what lonely island song contains a line that rhymes with like Leo, and also is a contrapositive of the song's title? The answer here is I'm on a boat. ChatGPT can't get there without lots of hints. You.com just takes 1 hint and gets there. Maybe ChatGPT is being held back by its safety features. For question 7b, both get it right with an additional hint. What Longfellow poem contains an if statement that would be evaluated as 2? And if I say the British are coming, maybe you also can tell that this is the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Both get it right with an additional hint, but perhaps I was too generous with this one. Question 8, what would you need to multiply the number of Argentina's World Cup victories to equal Italy's? Became a lot harder after Argentina won the World Cup again. But anyhow, I thought that I would accept either the answer before the deification of Messi or after. You.com is the clear winner here. Doesn't even need a hint. And then ChatGPT is wrong on both the facts and the math. So clear win for you.com here. 8b, what 2 countries' populations make up a quarter of the world's population? They both got this right, but so did GPT-3, so no big surprise there. Question 9a is crazy, though. In a recitative, the singer of what song compares himself to Don Juan and brags of his conquest from here to Hong Kong before requesting the titular digestif from Jarnac Charente? The answer here is Passe Carvassier, but both ChatGPT and U.com confidently answer songs that, as far as I can tell, just don't exist, at least as described here. These are real songwriters that they're talking about, but they didn't have any songs on this topic or with these lyrics that they claim to possess. This is why these models need to have proper confidence calibration to just not try to answer the question if they're not sure. No credit in either direction. Question 9b is crazy in a different way. Who was replaced by a drunken animatronic bear from the Country Bear Jamboree on The Critic and was edited to appear in the film Contact, which prompted an angry statement from Mike McCurry? I tried to hint that the answer is the US president to ChatGPT, but it tells me I need to be more respectful. U.com does get there, though, with a hint, so a point for them. Question 10 is interesting. A character in a work by what author opens Crime and Punishment to discover that it has become the brothers Karamazov? The answer here is Ryunosuke Akutagawa. ChatGPT correctly figures out that this is a bizarre question and just refuses to answer, which is fair enough. It's better than just making stuff up. U.com does make up some stuff, inventing the Dostoevsky cinematic universe where Raskolnikov kills Prince Michigan for sleeping with Grushenka. But when I give it a hint, I think it gives a reference to something that I wrote, but nonetheless can't come up with the right answer. Finally, question 11. What actor spoke the lines "Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen"? The answer here is Bruno Ganz from the film Downfall. This is a mixed bag. Both of them screw up in different ways. ChatGPT can't make the connection, but it does get it right with a clue. U.com figures out exactly what I'm talking about, but names the character as Adolf Hitler. This seems more problematic in my view, but we'll chalk that up as getting it right after a hint anyway. So in our final tally, I think we can say the following. ChatGPT and U.com are big advances over the previous state of the art in question answering from just a couple of weeks ago. But they still can't answer most questions in one shot, at least the adversarial questions that I thought up here. Hallucinations and calibrations are still huge issues, and I wouldn't trust these sorts of systems for anything important. If you're interested in these sorts of questions, please check out our webpage, quanta.org, which stands for Question Answering is Not a Trivial Activity. We're hosting an adversarial question answering competition in the spring.